Hey, family, what is up? Look, I'm excited to be doing this training tonight. I remember the very first time that I did it, I was so excited because I knew it was going to help the people who were there for it to get out of their debt. And I know that tonight it's either going to help the actual taxpayer directly because they're going to work with me and get it settled, or is going to help you, the tax professional, to help your client get out of the debt. So, as you're hopping on, please let me know who you are, where you're from in the comments. I can see on Facebook, I got a couple of people, I think it's two now. If you're on LinkedIn watching this right now, go ahead and either do a support, a like, and leave me a comment. In order for me to see your comments on LinkedIn, you are going to have to click to give StreamYard permission to show your information. We are supposed to have everything worked out with them. If it's not worked out yet, I apologize for the inconvenience, but you may want to hop over on Facebook. So I'm on right now on Timalyn S. Bowens, America's favorite EA, or you can go ahead and hop on YouTube. All right. So at the end of this, I actually do have a special offer. So the replay, because the offer is going to expire on Friday. So the replay is going to stay up until Friday, until you can get the offer, okay? So then I'm going to yank it from LinkedIn. I'm going to yank it from Facebook. I may leave it on YouTube, just depends on how it goes. But like I said, as you're hopping in, I see the Facebook numbers are going up. Make sure you drop in the comments and say hello so I can greet you. If you are on YouTube, same thing. And the same thing with LinkedIn. So, Miss Dorothy, always faithful and supporting. I appreciate you. Miss Dorothy says, "Hi, Miss Timalyn. I'm glad your notifications are working again on Facebook." Look, and here's the thing too, because these different platforms are trippy, right? So you have to make sure that if you want to get the notification about whatever I'm talking about, that you need to go ahead and I was going to say subscribe, RSVP to the event so that the platform will send you the notification. But so glad to have you. And I see the numbers are still moving. So, guys, as you're hopping on, make sure that you're telling me who you are. Say, hey, if you are an enrolled agent or excuse me, enrolled agent or tax professional, go ahead and let me know in the comments. If you are a taxpayer, just say taxpayer in the comments. All right. Tonight, we're going to talk about tax negotiation, which is one of my favorite topics. And if you're new to me and you have no idea why this crazy lady likes to talk about taxes, let me go ahead and introduce myself. So, my name is Timalyn Bowens, and I am America's favorite EA. As an enrolled agent, I'm licensed through the Internal Revenue Service to represent taxpayers in all 50 states. But not only all 50 states, I have clients all over the world, right? Right, I do. Anybody in the world that has a US tax problem, I can help represent them before the IRS in any IRS office in any of the 50 US states. Okay. So while I'm America's favorite EA and I'm here to fill the tax literacy gap one taxpayer at a time, which is why I'm doing this right here, right now for free, I'm also the owner of Bowens Tax Solutions. Blah, let me go back. The owner of Bowens Tax Solutions, which is a virtual firm based in Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Derby. And we focus on helping taxpayers that owe over $100,000, right? Or they're being actively levied or audited. So that is why I want to give the information to you tonight about how to negotiate with the IRS, even if you owe $100,000 or more, because so many people allow IRS debt to suffocate them, to paralyze them, where they can't move. That I wanted to make sure that I'm giving this information to you so that you know there is light at the end of the tunnel if you do owe $100,000, right? If you are passionate about helping taxpayers and educating them like I am, and you're a tax professional, you can do the same thing. You can have the same impact and help those same taxpayers. All right. So thank you so much, you guys, for hopping in here. So I have Miss Narissa Bennett. She's a tax professional studying to be an EA. Well, look, best wishes to you, Miss Aspiring EA. You will have to let me know when you have your first, or if you already taken the first one, let me know when you have your next test scheduled. All right. Holly, my guy. He says, "Hi, hi, my America's favorite EA. It's America's crypto EA. Hey, hey, hey. Miss Dorothy, thank you, thank you. Already an EA and tax professional, and I know you were down in Memphis, Tennessee. I hope the weather is being nice to you. Now, I know I have some other numbers. Look, if you guys aren't going to say, hey, you can at least do me this, go ahead, give me some love, put a heart on it, like it, share it with another tax professional. Because here's the thing, even if you don't have tax professional friends, you sharing this stream is still going to help another taxpayer because 1 in 50 taxpayers has an issue with the IRS right now. Now, look, all of them don't owe $100,000 or more like my clientele. However, they do have that issue, and you all that are enrolled agents and becoming enrolled agents, you are in a very, very unique place to be able to help them because you have the knowledge that they need. And what you don't know, I'm going to help fill in those gaps tonight. So, I'm going to check LinkedIn very quickly because they've been playing with me and I haven't been able to see my comments on StreamYard. So I'm just going to check that really quick. Look, if you are excited about tonight, because I know I'm excited about it, and I know I got at least 8 people on here. If you're excited about the information, hashtag excited, put it down in the comments because I'm about ready to go. So let's see over here on LinkedIn. Let me make sure that it's muted so I'm not hearing myself. All right, cool. So, yes, I see I got folks on LinkedIn. The number just went up. If you are on LinkedIn, go ahead, leave me a comment. Let me know your name. Let me know where you're from because this is always better when it's interactive, right? That's why I miss being able to present in person sometimes because I can't touch you guys, you know? All right, so YouTube. Right now, I got 3 people on YouTube, and you guys aren't hopping in the comments to say what's up. If you're on YouTube, drop in the comments. Let me know your name. I want to say hey to you because you guys are going to hear me talking all night, and I want to make sure I'm answering your questions. All right. So, we're excited for 2024. So, let's get to it. All right. This is what you guys all came here for tonight, right? It's not really about me. Let's see. All right. If you can see my screen, please let me know in the comments that you can see my screen because you all know if you've watched any of my videos before, typically my philosophy is if it's free, I'm not going to dedicate the time to create a slideshow, right? But because this is a little bit different, I want to make sure you actually get the information because it is going to feel like a water hose. Once you see it, it helps you retain it. And that's why we have a slideshow for tonight. So JOAB says he can see my screen. Thank you, dear sweet husband. Alrighty. Dorothy says excited. JOB says awesome. Guys, let's go. So, you guys are all here tonight because we are going to talk about negotiating with the IRS. And for some of you guys right now, thinking about even talking to the IRS makes your stomach drop, right? Hello, Miss Leda. Austin on here. I hope you're doing well. Listen, it's crazy because even though I deal with the IRS on behalf of taxpayers, when I get an IRS notice myself, it makes my stomach drop, right? So this past tax season, I realized that I made a huge goof in my record keeping and everything, and I left off a substantial expense. So what I did is I had to file an amendment to make sure I could claim that deduction. And receiving that notice from the IRS made even my stomach drop. If you can relate to that and getting a notice from the IRS makes your stomach drop, then let me know. Just say stomach drop, gut drop. So if you, as a tax expert, it makes your stomach drop, think about the folks that know nothing about taxes. Think about the folks that can't even prepare their own 1040, and they receive this notice in the mail that says they have to pay this debt in full within 14 to 30 days, whatever it may be, right? Knees weak, arms are heavy. That puts them in a state of paralysis. And Miss Dorothy can relate. She says stomach drop. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, America's favorite. Yay, you are amazing as always. Bless you. But let's talk about how you can be amazing too in helping your clients with negotiating this debt for them, right? So let's get right to it. We're going to talk about how to negotiate and settle your debt with the IRS, even if you or your client owes $100,000 or more and can't pay today. All right. So, my goal by the end of this time that we have together is that you realize that an offer in compromise is not the only option, right? We have so many of the offer in compromise mills on the different platforms, whether it's the internet, you'll see them on YouTube, you'll hear them on the radio if you still listen to the radio, telling you that you can settle your tax debt for pennies on the dollar. And the way they present it is as if an offer in compromise is the only way possible. But that, my friend, is not true. And my goal for you at the end of this is to realize that there are more options, that there is a way to set up an arrangement with the IRS that's going to satisfy them and not bankrupt you. All right. Now, if you stay until the end, my friend, I do have a free gift that will help you get the results even faster that I'm going to talk about here tonight in this presentation. Let me check on my LinkedIn people really quick, you guys, just because, like I said, it's been a little funky. So I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody's comments because I've been seeing them after the fact. LinkedIn folks, if you would just give me a heart, give me a thumbs up just so I know you're still here. So let's talk about what's going to make this different than any of the offer and compromise mills, right? First of all, what I'm going to show you tonight, what I'm going to walk you through, is a proven process to see what the client actually qualifies for instead of promising you empty hopes and dreams. All right. Not everybody is going to qualify for an offer and compromise. And I want to be very, very, very clear about that. And an offer and compromise is where the IRS will accept a lump sum payment or installments over 24 months to settle a debt. All right. That's what's sold on the radio stations. That's what you see on TV, but not everybody qualifies for that. And when they don't qualify for that, they think that negotiating with the IRS is not a real thing. But, friend, I'm here to tell you that it really is, and we can make it happen for you if you're the taxpayer, or if you're a tax professional, you can, in fact, make it happen for your clients. Now, I was going to say, this is about to go really fast because it was frozen. So another very brief introduction. If you're on here, you probably know me. If you're catching the replay on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook before this is taken down, you may not. So let me just go really quickly. My name is Timalyn Bowens, and again, I'm America's favorite EA. I started my career with the number 10 firm in the world, not the country, the world. At that time, and even to this day, they still hold that spot. I started my career with them in 2011. That's when I did my first busy season, all right? Now, I'm licensed through the Internal Revenue Service to represent clients just like you if you're somebody owing. But if you're a tax professional, I'm here to help somebody just like you because this is something that I didn't have when I first started out. Now, I'm I'm going to have to update this in January because as of right now, I've been working in this industry for 12 years. I'm about to hit 13. If you don't know, I'm 34 years old. So, literally, almost one third of my life has been devoted to taxes and tax law, right? Because I am a self proclaimed tax nerd and I love to go over this stuff. So, in that one third of my life, I have done a lot of things right, a whole lot of things. As a matter of fact, that's why when I say I'm America's favorite EA, I have people that are going to agree with you about that, right? But here's the human thing about it. Even though I've done a lot of things right, I've done so many things wrong. And I share these things on my different social media platforms with my community so that you don't end up making the same mistakes that I've made. All right. So tonight, we're going to look at three mistakes that I've made, but I'm going to also share how you can avoid making the same mistakes within helping with a tax situation. So here's my backstory. Like I said, I started at this bigger firm and I fell in love with tax law and tax planning, right? So it's a different end of the tax spectrum because when we look at tax planning, we're really looking at tax reduction strategies. We're looking into the future about how we can lower somebody's tax liability over their lifetime, right? With tax representation, what we're taking a look at is this taxpayer is in trouble with the IRS. Sometimes it's before they get in trouble. And instead of them wanting to talk to the IRS themselves, they're hiring me to have that conversation for them. So I like to put it this way: I'm a substitute and I step in their shoes to handle the IRS issue, right? For certain tax situations, my client never has to speak to the IRS again because they've hired me as the representative. When I was working at the CPA firm, even as big as they were, I did not know this was an option. Okay. So one day, I don't know about you all, but even pre COVID, I did not like to eat the lunch that I packed. Right. So I would always wait for one of my coworkers, I call her my twin turn, to send me a message and say, "Hey, what are we getting for lunch?" And then I would use that excuse to justify why I wasn't eating the lunch I packed and I was going to spend money for lunch. So on this particular day, we said we were going to leave, but we were still going to be frugal and we were going to go across the street to a grocery store. Now, I don't know where you guys are at in the country, but we have Kroger here in Louisville, Kentucky. If you know what Kroger is, put in the comments, say yes. If you don't know what it is, say what in the world. But anyway, we're going to Kroger and we have our badges, but mine is tucked away where nobody could see it. We didn't have a uniform with the name on it, so nobody knew where we worked. And we came across a woman who was a little distraught, right? And she's in the parking lot crying. I was not going to be the good Samaritan that day. All right. I was minding my business. I had to get back to work, trying to get lunch. Well, 20 stops, my twin turn, and girl code. I can't leave her by herself. I'm like, what are you doing? This lady has no idea what we do, but it just so happens that she owes the IRS. And to this day, I can't remember if it was $500, can't remember if it's $1,500. But I know that my young 20 self was like, $500, $1,500, like, that's all you owe? Now, look, I said I wasn't being a good Samaritan and I didn't have a lot of responsibilities and bills at the time. But we're like, you can set up a payment arrangement. I knew that much, right? You can call the IRS, just let them know, like they can work with you. Check this out though. As we go through Kroger, we're getting our food, we get back to work, we're going up the elevator. I'm like, dang, that could be my brother. Like, if he had an unexpected tax bill of $500, $1,500, he may be distraught. That could be one of my cousins. That could be my uncle. That could be my aunt. Think about it. Think with your clients. A lot of them right now, if you do tax preparation, they're already pressed for that refund. Would $500 or $1,500, would that affect the people that you work with right now if they had that unexpected bill? Let me check these comments. What is up, Alexis? Thanks for joining. Your favorite store? I didn't even know they had Kroger in Georgia. Miss Dorothy, we have Kroger here. Cool, cool, cool. Well, look, as I'm riding up the elevator, I start getting convicted because I thought about how many people in my life would be affected by a $1,500 surprise bill. So I'm talking with somebody else that works there, and they tell me, helping people with that, it's not, uh, I can't remember the exact words, but essentially, it's not worth our while. And I'll tell you, right now, for somebody to hire me that owes $1,500, it's not efficient because the price that they would pay for me to represent them, it wouldn't make sense. However, that started me on a new trail and a new journey. I was like, people are terrified to speak with the IRS. I don't mind speaking with the IRS. And as a matter of fact, when I was younger, I wanted to be an attorney. So going in and studying a manual and calling the IRS the most aggressive collection agency in the country to argue with them, that sounds like my cup of tea. So from there, it felt like I kept running into people that owed, right? Well, let's fast forward. 2 busy seasons later, I was my last one. I got married in July, got my child tax credit in at the very end of the year. If we're connected online, you guys know my business partner's 10th birthday was yesterday. And I was like, wow, people that I started working with when I opened my own business kept having these tax problems. And they were terrified to call the IRS when I told them what to do. So I said, I need to get a license that will allow me to handle this for them. And that's how it all began. Now, look, this is going a little bit slow and freezing. So if my presentation skips a few slides, y'all bear with me, all right? So, again, I'll be updating this. After 12 years, here are some things that I have learned, my good friends. People don't speak taxonese. Think about it. How many people do you know get tax refund confused with the term tax return? They say, oh, I need my tax return back. We filed your tax return. What are you talking about? You talking about your refund? Oh, okay. I heard somebody tonight, literally on a call that I just got off of from 6:30 to 7:30, say, yeah, in the spring, and you guys will be getting your income tax. Your everyday taxpayer doesn't speak the tax lingo, right? But I also learned that fixing the problem isn't good enough. And let me briefly explain. I realized I also needed to equip my clients and other taxpayers with more because there's a cycle of when people have tax debt, they don't pay attention to how they got there or they don't put steps in place to make sure that they don't end up there again. Now, no shade, no shade, no shade if I got taxpayers in here. But for you all that are tax professionals, if you've ever told a client to do something and they did the exact opposite, drop in the comments, yeah, me. Because I don't even think it's always malicious. It's just not top of mind for taxpayers to take care of tax stuff. So if we don't have systems in place and we have this person that just owed the IRS all this money, even if we fix it for them, they're going to end up in the same spot. What statistics show us is within like the next 5 years. So yeah, I knew I wasn't alone. It wasn't just my clients that were hard headed, right? So I discovered this the hard way. Tonight I'm going to help you cheat and get it the easy way. This is the hard way. When you get a notice from the IRS, you just take the IRS word for it. Or even worse, you take the taxpayer's word for it. Because, like I mentioned before, it's not always with ill will, it's not always them being malicious. They don't speak taxonese. So, when they get a notice from the IRS, they will call you and tell you one thing. When you look at the notice, it says something completely different. I've made a lot of mistakes and wasted time by just taking the IRS word for it forgetting that the whole system is comprised of humans and outdated computers. They make mistakes all the time. That's why you have to learn how to do your own investigation. You can't take the taxpayer's word for it. I had a taxpayer, oh my goodness. The taxpayer told me they never owed the IRS before. They always filed their tax returns on time. And for the year that I was helping them with, they had this crazy failure to file penalty. If you don't know, if a taxpayer files a return late and they had a balance, then for each month that's late, there's a 5% failure to file penalty. So for this taxpayer, their failure to file penalty was maxed out at 25%. I believed them. I had empathy. I didn't follow the secret that I'm going to share with you all. Call the IRS. And you know, if you call the IRS, you do not get right through. So I wasted time on hold, got through to the IRS, got somebody on the line to request first time penalty abatement. And guess what? They said, oh, that taxpayer doesn't qualify for first time abatement because they haven't filed. And they start naming the returns they hadn't filed. And they told me about a balance that they had in the previous year. Whereas I took the taxpayer's word for it. I believed, right, that they had all their tax returns filed because when I asked them, they said yes. I believe they hadn't owed before because they were so distraught they'd never owed before. And you know what they said to me when I was like, hey, this is what the IRS said? They're like, oh, I don't remember that. My bad. So, yes, this was the hard way. I wasted so much time on hold. And if you know, you know. But I'm going to show you how to avoid that. All right. And then, like I said, implementing steps. By not having a game plan for after the problem solved to make sure the taxpayer doesn't end up back in the same situation, all of the hard work that you do to help the taxpayer is going to go down the drain because at the end of the day, if they do not implement those steps and they get into any type of tax troubles, they owe the following year, they miss payments, they're going to make the payment plan default. And like I said, all your hard work is going to go down the drain. And I hate wasting time. All right. So we're going to scoot all this hard way out. We're going to talk about the easy way. So let me share the things I've learned with you. Let me check this comments. Karina, what's up? Karina says, you absolutely cannot take the tax you absolutely cannot take the taxpayer word for it. I fell into that same trap taking the taxpayer's word for it. Was such a mess. Listen, I know and I feel your pain. I know you guys are here because you want the easy way that there's a typo. I'm sorry. You want the easy way that's going to help them not be back in the same situation in 5 years, right? And if you want me to keep going, I need some energy, guys. So Karina's comment, Miss Dorothy's been with me. I have the same amount on Facebook that I have on YouTube right now, and I'm not getting anything from YouTube. YouTube, like, just say what's up. Wave your hand, send me an emoji, something. LinkedIn, I'm not going to blame you guys if you're not saying anything right now, but I see that I have the numbers on LinkedIn too. If you just say, hey, I would appreciate it. But I am going to keep going. So let's take a look at this. The old way is listening to the clients. We're not doing any type of investigation. We're just doing like the offer and compromise meals, filling out the paperwork, sending it in, not even seeing if the taxpayer qualifies. All right. But if we go with the new way, that will save you time. Now, you will still have to wait on hold with the IRS. I'm sorry about that. But you will be able to complete a negotiation with the IRS that you can be confident in and know will go through. Now, will there be some fight negotiating? Yes, but you won't just be throwing something at the wall hoping that it sticks. And that's what we're getting into right now. But here's the thing. The results aren't typical. You have to actually be somebody that is going to do the work and take the client's information through the process to make sure that they actually qualify for what you're looking at. Okay. So, our three secrets. Secret number one, and if you have a pen and paper, make sure you go ahead and get this down. Now, look, if it's helping you, I see I got a little bit of engagement, but for real, YouTube, I'm gonna get on y'all later. Facebook, can I get a heart? Can I get a like? Can I get something? Because I'm giving you guys good information. Secret one, you're gonna verify how much they actually owe. And if you're the taxpayer, it's how much you owe. Right? That seems simple, but there's a step beyond just looking at the notice to verify how much is actually owed. Right? Number two, you're going to do a financial analysis. And I'm going to tell you how to do the financial analysis the same way that the Internal Revenue Service would. Not just looking at what you have in your budget and figuring what you can pay. Because I can guarantee you this, the IRS definition of broke and your definition of broke are not the same thing. Thank you, Karina. Karina says, yes, trust but verify. Because again, these people may not, it may be their very good intention to give you the right information, but they don't speak Taxonese. Remember, we just got out of a pandemic. Are we out of it because new waves keep coming out of COVID? They may be dealing with brain fog from that. I don't know, but they don't always give you the information that you need. So always, always, always verify. Then, secret three, make an offer that will satisfy the IRS and not bankrupt you. So let's get right into how we do that. So, with the first secret, let me go here because here's the answer. Secret number one, you're going to do a transcript analysis. So, what is this? The way that you can guarantee, guarantee is a strong word. The way you can make sure that what the taxpayer is giving you, what the IRS has, is by doing a transcript analysis. All right. So if you are the taxpayer, you want to make sure that you have all of your transcripts pulled and you want to look and confirm the information that you filed against what the transcript says. And there are errors that happen. Let me give you an example. Me, myself, America's favorite EA. The IRS said that I owed for a certain year that I didn't owe for you. And look, it was 2020. I had to think about it because I got COVID brain too sometimes, right? To think about it. So for 2020, I did really well. I did really, really well. Okay, shout out to God because I did good. But I was able to overpay with my estimated tax payments. Well, the year is crazy. We're doing all this stuff, still dealing with extended deadlines and everything. And I was like, wait a minute. When I'm getting ready for 2021, I am looking at bank accounts and stuff. Did we get that tax refund? Did we cash a tax check? So I had to get on the phone with the IRS myself and be like, hey, I need you to apply that refund to this next tax year. Don't send me nothing. Just apply it to that so I don't have to send you anything. And they're like, well, ma'am, we can see, because I'm not on the practitioner hotline, I'm calling as a taxpayer. Ma'am, it says that you got the refund, blah, blah, blah. So I pulled my own transcript to show that I just had a credit sitting there that had not been applied, right? And I'm talking about a four-figure credit, not $2, not $20. All right. Four figures worth of money sitting there that the IRS owed me that I wanted applied to the next tax year to help reduce my estimated tax payments. Now, if I did not know to pull my transcript first, I would have just taken the notice that they sent me and been like, oh, shoot, well, let me pay this. Right. And given them more money than I have to. And nobody wants to pay more in taxes than they have to. Right. Your clients are doing the exact same thing, or they're doing the opposite. I had a taxpayer come to me for help telling me that they owed $70,000. They already knew what they wanted to go into, and they just wanted to pay me to just do the work, the paperwork, make it disappear. And I said, hey, this is my process. The first thing I do is get a power of attorney so I can speak on your behalf, and I do the transcript analysis. Do you know after my first phone call, I was able to talk with them kind of the same way I talked about my situation? And yes, it said 70,000 in the database, but because I did the transcript analysis and I saw when they initially filed their returns, and I knew the tax law that some of that was falling off or should have fallen off. Do you know I got that tax debt in half just off the first call because I did a transcript analysis? We literally went from 70,000 plus to 35 after one phone call because I did the transcript analysis. Now, if I had just taken the taxpayer's word for it, who very much believed they owed that 70,000, they weren't trying to scheme or scam, right? They were trying to take care of their responsibility, but I was able to help save them additional money that they didn't want to tie up with the IRS. Nobody wants to tie up an additional 35,000 with the IRS because I knew to pull the transcript. All right? So that's secret number 1. If you already know to do that, kudos to you. But I talk to so many tax professionals all the time. They're like, "Hey, Timalyn, can you help me? I'm not sure what this qualifies for." And I'm like, "What do the transcripts say? What do their finances say?" Which is going to take me right into the next secret. All right. Secret number 2, you need to make sure. My slides are going slow. Sorry. There we go. You need to make sure that you do an analysis of the personal and business finances using the national standards set by the IRS before you talk to the IRS. Like I said before, you don't want to just go through your personal finances and business, or if you're the tax professional, you don't want to just go based off their personal budget and they're like, oh, they said they can only afford $50, so that's what I'm going to call the IRS with. No, the IRS has standards and allowances. The IRS has allowable expenses that you need to understand, and you need to explain to your client before you get on that call, hey, I'm not promising you anything empty in a bucket full of dreams, right? You need to let them know me getting your financial information and doing this 433 is going to show us what you actually qualify for. Whether that's an installment agreement, whether it is an offer and compromise, where I look at the transcripts and your financials and see you qualify for bankruptcy for some of this, or maybe it's currently not collectible. I don't know until I actually do the analysis, because here is where they will play you like Boo Boo the Fool. I had, I'm not going to say the person because they might be out there watching. I had a taxpayer, all right, very genuine, very nice person, took care of their family, took care of their parents. However, the expenses they had were not allowed by the IRS. Excuse me. And they were like, well, how am I supposed to live? I only have like $100 I can pay them. Taxpayer, you owe $120,000. You're not making any estimated tax payments. You don't have withholding from your job. And they wanted to ask me, did I think the IRS was going to make them sell their motorcycle? Because not only do they have a motorcycle, they also have a boat with a payment. They also have a truck, and they also had a Mercedes. If you were single, 4 payments and one for a boat are not going to be allowable expenses. The IRS, look, they're not going to put you out on the street because of your tax debt, but they're not going to let you live extravagantly. And this taxpayer didn't realize why that was extravagant. And they were like, well, what are some other things I can cut? So they gave me their personal budget because they didn't want to give me their financial stuff. And yes, I do my stuff in phases. So when I run into issues like this, I can let the taxpayer go because you got to follow my process or you got to go. They wanted to still pay for their child's jujitsu lessons. That is not an allowable expense. All right. So if I just went with their personal budget, I would call the IRS with all this egg on my face because none of that's going to be allowable, right? Because once we get to $100,000 or more, they don't care. They don't care if you can pay it off within 72 months. They want to know everything about the finances. They want to know about the retirement accounts. They want to know about the checking, savings accounts, where they're at, what bank, the address, the account numbers, right? Jiu-jitsu is not an allowable expense. You're not going to know what you can reasonably negotiate with the IRS until you actually do the financials. All right. And I see you there laughing. It's not funny. So Austin says, hey, Timalyn, Facebook for some reason had me lagging behind. I was on YouTube. Thank you for letting me know. Appreciate you guys being here even with the lag. So I see the numbers have gone up on Facebook. Guys, if you're on Facebook right now, make sure you give me a heart, give me a like, and drop down in the comments and let me know who you are because I've talked to a few of you, but I'm sure not everybody. I just want to say, hey. And same thing with YouTube. I see I have at the moment, I believe 5. I only got one person LOLing at me right now. And LinkedIn, if it's not letting you comment while you're actually on, just send me a message just so I know to follow up with you afterwards. But I'm going to keep going. All right. Because I want to respect your time. Thank you. So, Shell G. Hey, my mom Alita shared your live with me. Thanks for sharing all this info. I'm taking notes. You are very welcome. And Shell, are you a tax professional too? I hope you're a tax professional and not working with the debt, your own personal debt. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. So let's look at secret number 3. All right. You want to make an offer that will satisfy the IRS but not bankrupt the taxpayer. This is somewhat still related to secret number 2. Because again, I have tax professionals reach out to me and they're like, hey, can you work with me? Because I think this client, they qualify for an offer in compromise. And I'm like, okay, what does the 433 say? They said, well, I haven't done a 433. So you don't know about their ability to pay because you don't know their income information. You don't know about what assets they have, which will be on the 433, and you don't know about their expenses. And they say no, but I think they're going to be a good candidate. Even if we don't do the form all the way, take them through a mini 433, okay? So you have that information. And then, like Karina backed me up and said, you want to make sure you actually verify that. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, the Internal Revenue Service, they are the most aggressive collection agency in the country. My mentor says after the mob, I would say before the mob, right? Yeah, they won't kill you. Anyway, sorry, Facebook, don't take me off for saying that 4-letter word. Anyway, you can set up an arrangement. And even one of my favorites that I do currently versus an offer and compromise is the partial pay installment agreement. Because what that is going to do is we're looking at the income and expenses, and you're going to know what that is because you did the 433, so you were well informed about what the client can actually afford to pay based on IRS standards. Then we're taking a look at the CSED, which is the collection statute expiration date, which you know because you did the transcript investigation, and you're going to be able to find out what they can afford to pay all the way up until it expires. Because here's the thing, once the CSED is reached, which is the collection statute expiration date, it's the last day that the IRS can legally collect on that, it's going to fall off. And that's why it's called a partial pay installment agreement. All right. Now, let's get to the good stuff. How do we make that offer? Like I said before, there are more options than an offer and compromise. When we're looking at the offer and compromise, it's not just if you have assets you don't qualify. There's still a math equation that you have to do, right? Now, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going all into detail because I do have a paid group and community, and that is one of their private podcasts that they had. Does your client qualify for an offer and compromise, where I talk about the math equation? I can't give you all of that because they pay to spend time with me, right? It's not a free thing on YouTube. Then Then we do have the installment agreement. Now, there are a variety of installment agreements. This is essentially a payment plan. Sometimes it is a partial payment installment agreement. Sometimes we have what we call a step up installment agreement, right? Where we start with one payment and then later we increase it. The IRS is going to want full pay. However, with you in there on their behalf, there are opportunities for you to help your client not pay the full amount, whether that is penalty abatement, where we have different penalties and interest removed, or if you have something again like the partial pay installment agreement, maybe because you did the transcript investigation, right? That's what you do first, the analysis. You see that the majority of this debt is going to actually qualify for bankruptcy. I've been able to do that before in partnering with bankruptcy attorneys. I saw that I had a client who did owe over $100,000. I think it was close to 129. More than half of that qualified for bankruptcy. Now, they were kind of hard headed. If there's a lien attached to the debt, even if it goes into bankruptcy, they still have to pay that back. However, getting almost $80,000 or over $80,000 wiped out in the bankruptcy and only having to pay 45,000 of that, that partnership still and going the bankruptcy route was a win. Did he qualify for an offer in compromise? No. But the bankruptcy still knocked out half of the debt. So if we're looking at pennies on the dollar of how much he saved, see what I'm saying? Somebody's calling me from Las Vegas. They're going to have to call me back later. All right. Then we also have, like I said, the partial pay installment agreement, which is my favorite personally. We have bankruptcy. We have currently not collectible, where we stop the enforcement of the IRS for 12 months. All right. Let's look at our bonus secret, which is if you're a tax professional, you're going to invest in support to get results faster. What does that mean? Let me go back to my comments really quick. Thank you, Austin. Austin said, that is my daughter. Very nice to meet you, Shell. Thank you for joining and taking notes. So, with the bonus secret, investing in support to get results faster, this is going slow. So, when we look at mentoring, I told you guys about some of the mistakes that I made, right? The reason I made those mistakes is because I didn't know anybody else that was an enrolled agent. I didn't know CPAs that represented tax professionals, right? So a lot of my learning was trial and error. It was reading the Internal Revenue Manual. It was reading the IRS code, right? So I did a lot of stumbling. Now, in other areas of business, I do have mentors, and even within the representation game, I have mentors now. Everyone should have a mentor. Should I be everyone's mentor? No. But even if it's not me, make sure you get the help you need. Everybody should have a mentor, and it should be something you invest in. Because mentoring is going to bring two things: new ideas and accountability. Because I can guarantee you that right now you have new ideas that would not have been there if you didn't make time to be with me right here, right now. Am I right about it, Shell? So, Shell's an aspiring tax professional. Cool beans. So, with that being said, yes, thank you, Karina. And look, Karina is not in my paid community. I did not pay Karina to say that, but she said mentoring is priceless, okay? And it really is. It's not something that you can really put a dollar amount on, because when you have that mentoring and guidance, you never know how much the mistakes that you are avoiding would have cost you, right? Does that make sense? Now, you can put a price tag on how fast you're able to accomplish something, kinda, but not really, because you have to think about it. The person is guiding you invested time and money and still made mistakes. So you're investing into, excuse me, that as well, so you don't essentially waste as much time or money. So a good mentor will give you great ideas and make sure you act on them. right? There's that accountability. But a great mentor will also put together a powerful group of people all working towards similar goals. And this is going to multiply everyone's effectiveness exponentially, even the mentor. Ask me how I know. In my business, I have people owing $100,000 to the IRS, working alongside people earning over 300,000. Everybody wins. And that's why my community is the Tax Pros representation journey, because everybody's in a different spot in their journey, right? I had the privilege of working in a CPA firm. Like I said, just gone international. The money there for resources and education and mentoring, training, it was all there. A lot of you right now are solo practitioners that maybe have not had the opportunity to work under somebody, have not had the opportunity to actually have somebody hold your hand through this process. So we're all coming from different backdrops, right? And then we all have different goals with what we want to do for being an enrolled agent. Some of us want to have a 7 figure EA firm, right? While others of us are like, I just want to help 10 people a year and maybe make $100,000. We all have different goals, but each one of those are valid if we're actually pushing ourselves to our full potential and having an impact on the taxpayers. So I apologize, y'all. My voice. But if this is good, if you have any questions so far, drop the questions, any comments in the chat for me. So when we look at investing in a mentor, if you wanted to go to the Cayman Islands, even in this DIY world that we live in, would you charter a plane and get behind the controls yourself with no training, no map, or no co-pilot to guide you? Now, some of you guys that are catching this on YouTube on the replay, you might do it because you might be on here doing YouTube University, but the majority of people would not. So then why the heck would you try and charter your own tax situation, or even worse, somebody else's, and negotiate 6 figures of debt with the IRS without training? Baby. Miss Dorothy's honest. She said no, she would not do it. But the reason I said baby is because when I created this, I had spent over $200,000 on school to learn the basics of accounting. My college, student loan interest, that's still increasing. So can't say what I paid there. But then additional trainings and things, guys, I have spent a lot of money on perfecting my craft to even be able to proudly say, hey, I'm America's favorite EA and have it on everything, right? So the accounting firm, in addition to that, spent thousands of dollars sending me across the country to learn tax compliance and laws. The IRS requires me, as an enrolled agent, to take hours of tax law updates each year from accredited institutions that they approve of. I've spent well over $100,000 on coaches, hours of my life that I'll never get back figuring this stuff out. To come on here and give it to you tonight. So, with that said, right now, you have two options. You can drop down in the comments and say, thank you, Timalyn, and hop off, take all the information that I gave you, and be like, yes, I'm going to implement these 3 steps in my practice, right? Or, I guess I kind of already said that, right? Get frustrated, wasting 3 to 5 years of your life. And I mean, it wouldn't be a complete waste, right? Because you just be like me. If you go 3 to 5 years by yourself, you have some stumbling blocks, you track the progress, there's still lessons learned. Or you can learn the proven system that I have found, right, through the stumbling until I got some mentors and everything from somebody who has not just done it, but actually mastered it. And favorite is more popularity, but I'll still say best in the world at it. Because here's the thing, I'm a lifetime learner. I'm going to keep continuing to push myself to learn more and more and more. And that's why I can stand here straight face and say, best at it. Here's how I can help. So, by team, right now you'll actually be talking to me. The calendar is set up. I have time set aside for tomorrow, and I have time set aside for Friday. All right, to speak with you personally about how you can apply these ideas to put your clients' problems behind them. And I don't want to dismiss anybody if you are a taxpayer to put your problem behind you, right? So I've shown you in very broad strokes how it's done. But the truth is, and if you are a tax professional actively working, you know everybody's situation is going to be unique and you need to know how to apply these shifts to their individual situations. All right. So, yes, there are going to be different scenarios and there are only a certain number of options, but their different life stories and situations are what makes it unique. And you need to know how to take their real life situation and tell their story in the IRS forms to legally make them look as pitiful as possible on paper. That's what I tell my clients. My job is to make you look as pitiful as possible so that you cannot pay this. All right. So, if that's what you want to do to help the taxpayers, I am going to personally get on the phone with you and explain with you what the next steps are to do that if you're a tax professional actually interested in representing taxpayers. And here it is. We're essentially at the end. The cost is free, but it's not going to be for everybody. There's going to be some qualifications, right? So when we're looking at who this is for, you have to be committed. If you've seen my lives before, I tell you guys all the time, all we have in this whole thing is our reputation and name. So you have to be committed to getting your clients out of this situation with total integrity and true concern. It should say for their, not your, for their current financial situation. I'm not associating with anybody out here scamming and scheming because again, all I have out here is my name. So if that's the way that you want to roll and you're willing to bend rules and do things like that to get the best results, then we're not going to be a good fit to work with each other. All right. You have to work with clients that own how they got in this situation and stop letting the IRS letters stack up. All right. Because once you work with these taxpayers, you guys are actually partners in this whole thing, right? They have to realize that even though you are the mouthpiece that speaks on their behalf, they are going to have obligations as well. They need to turn paperwork into you by a certain time. They need to get certain information to you by a certain time. They need to realize that ultimately they ended up in this position because of something that they did or did not do. This isn't anybody else's fault. Okay? Excuse me. If you don't value your time or theirs or mine, this is not going to be for you. Now, I do have a question here, and maybe I'm going to answer it, right? So, this is for you if you want to know how to help your clients with tax issues. If you are looking to have a roadmap of how to guide clients in their tax issues or situations, you are truly sick and tired of being afraid of the IRS and letting your clients or people you know face the IRS alone. If you're looking to have someone step to serve as a guide, because again, I don't want to dismiss any taxpayers on here. If you're looking to have someone step to serve as a guide and mentor you as you assist your clients, this is for you. Excuse me. So, who is not for? Do not apply. And yes, it is an application process. It's not a very long application process, but there is an intake form because I do want some background information on you because I'll say it again. I don't believe in wasting time. So I want to make sure this is going to actually be beneficial, not only for you, but for me as well. Because, yes, I believe in helping other EAs and I'm giving back by doing this again for free. You guys didn't have to register. You're not going to be on my email list because of this. But I want to make sure it's actually worthwhile for us to have a conversation. So, This is not for you if you have no intention on becoming a tax compliant and following the IRM guidelines. All right. Up fixing, doing mortgage fraud and all that kind of stuff just so your taxpayer can qualify. I don't want to fool with you. This is not for you if you want to get rich quick and not do any of the work. So you think that you're going to just get clients and take all their money and not do any of the work. I don't run my show that way. That's not how this is going to go either. Or if you're a skeptic, this doesn't really work. I'm here to help people that want to reach their goals and make moves, stay accountable. I'm not here to convince you that you can actually negotiate with the IRS that like it's real. It's real. And one of the things that I don't want to do ever in a webinar or training, you may see me occasionally post stuff on social media, but I am not sharing my clients' wins on this, and it's intentional because I want to respect them in their privacy, even if they did share things in a public forum. If you want to know that this actually works, that if you work with me as a professional is going to work, here's what you can do. You can go to Google, everybody's favorite friend, right? And Google Bowens Tax Solutions. I have reviews from taxpayers and I have reviews from tax professionals. You can Google America's favorite EA. I have reviews from tax professionals. You can go to my LinkedIn and look at recommendations. I didn't pay for those. So you know that it does actually work. Okay. So let me answer this question really quick. Can we talk to you if we don't have clients? Yes. Yet. So the answer to that question, can you talk to me if you don't have clients yet? Yes. And here's why. As I mentioned before, with the Tax Pros representation journey, everybody's in a different spot, right? I have people that have been enrolled agents for years, but have never done the actual representation piece because they're dealing with a fear or doubt of their own. One of the things that I help people do is with their mindset, overcoming that fear, looking at their goal of helping taxpayers, breaking it down into smaller steps that they can stomach, right? That they can actually implement to move towards that goal of getting their first representation client. You can absolutely book the call. If you meet the other qualifications, then we'll be chatting either tomorrow or on Friday. Okay. And I'm going to give you guys the information for that just here shortly. And again, I'm gonna tell you why I'm doing it because some people are like, well, what's in it for you? Ideally, I do want you to join my program, right? But I want to help you have the clarity that I didn't have when I first started on this journey, right? So on the call, I'm going to help you get clarity about exactly what you want your life to look like as an enrolled agent. Now, if you owe, you're a taxpayer on here, I want to help you get crystal clear on what life would be like without the debt and the exact steps you should take to achieve the goal to get the debt behind you. So if you want me, because the next 2 days you'll actually talk to me to help you. And if you think it's a good fit, which again, I'll determine, we may invite you to become one of the new clients we'll take on this month, right? And on the tax representation side, I don't work with everybody. There are some people just because may not, I don't feel it's a good fit. I don't work with them. But if we do work together, I'll put you through the same process that I put other clients through that have been successful. The process is designed to make sure that you are compliant within 30 days so you can begin negotiating with the IRS. Again, this is if you're a taxpayer. We'll expect you to use the information. We'll expect you to be using the information we obtained from the IRS to get current on all tax filings. Now, if you're on the tax representation side, it's a little bit different because within my community, you do not always see me or talk to me one on one. It's more of a group setting because there's power in that community. I still teach you the same process on a weekly podcast and article subscription. All right. Now, for my people that are taxpayers, I'm going to drop this link in here. And this is how you would book your call. Now, if you're on LinkedIn, I do apologize because I know this is not going to go through to LinkedIn, but it just went through to Facebook and YouTube. But I will still put it up here on a banner just in case. Let me see. You're a taxpayer. Now, if you are a tax pro and you want to take a look at what it would look like to work with me to get your clarity, to see, like, hey, is this even something I should be interested in? Because I don't have any clients yet. Look, I will help you get in a position to get the clients. All right. But here's the thing, I'll give you what to do and what to say, but you actually have to implement it so that you can be in that position. So I just dropped the link for the tax professionals. And you know what? Actually, let me pull this bad boy back up because I do got something else. Like I said, I'm doing these calls. I already talked about this. So I'm not even gonna look. It's the next 2 days. Like I said, I'm taking the replays down after Friday because the calls will be gone. Because I don't typically do a free up call or a free upfront call, right? Y'all can read, so I'm gonna skip through this. This is what we're gonna actually talk about on the call. So this is not a call for case support, right? So we're gonna get crystal clear on what you need to be able to offer this service to taxpayers. So if you're an enrolled agent, we're going to talk about why you haven't been going to get the clients because they don't fall from the sky. You do have to actively go after them. But where do you find them, right? Because they're not on social media with their hand raised saying I owe $100,000. We're going to get you crystal clear on if you offer the service, how you can help them without messing up your other streams of income. All right. Because the workflow process is completely different. The marketing is completely different. So you don't want to look over here and be working with tax representation to mess up your tax prep income. I've made that mistake. So I'm going to help you get clear on what you need to do to make sure you don't do the same thing. And then we're going to also get you clear on how many clients it would take to reach your revenue goal with this added service. All right. Now, do I think you should book the call? I think you should because you deserve it. Do I know for a fact that you're going to be a good fit to work with me? No, I don't. But we'll see. Right. So, the next thing, you don't have a button below, you have a link in the comments. So my numbers are dropped, but that is all good because the real good stuff comes afterwards, right? So, uh-oh, my slideshow went a little too fast. So with the what to do next, so some of you guys have been watching me for a while. Some of you guys are going to be on YouTube catching this replay later just because that's the way the cookie tends to crumble here. And you already know that you want to work with me in some type of capacity, and you're like, well, what if I don't need that call? Here are your options. And I have some bonuses with the options if you just sign up for the Tax Pros Representation Journey or the article subscription. So, first, with the article subscription, you have weekly tax representation articles. So, you will have the articles that correspond with whatever the podcast is for that week. Now, I do owe them some articles, and they are going to get dinged tonight with, I think, two of them. Because one of them I haven't done a podcast episode on, but it was requested, and that is how to request penalty abatement, right? So the article is about what penalty abatement is, what it applies to, but then at the bottom, past the paywall, there's going to be an actual video of me filling out the form 843 for penalty abatement. All right, so you get those kind of articles with different checklists. I have engagement templates and so on and so forth. You're going to also have the opportunity to chat with me and other subscribers within the comment section of the articles. And for the paid subscription, only people that are paid subscribers can comment in that section. You'll also have implementation steps to improve your process. So there is a section that I have called Now It's Your Turn. So you will have your homework to do and be able to track your progress. And Sorry, I already said this except for the last part. And I apologize, that's down in the black. But you also get bi monthly articles on relevant issues for tax pros. So I'm working on one now for the Corporate Transparency Act. And just so you have enough information to give your clients because they are going to be asking this tax season. So if we're looking at, I call it the family, call you guys family, right? The roadmap call, that's the one-on-one attention. Those are 500 a call. I do not have any more of those for the year, right? You'd have to book that in January. But the my main baby right now is the Tax Pros Representation Journey. That is 150 a month, and I'll walk you through what you do actually get with that when you join. Not going to go over all this roadmap because, like I said, it's not available. Um, well, I guess if you book it in January, really quick, it's an hour on Zoom. It is a strategy session where we go through, we're going to complete your quarter one marketing and make sure that your sales and workflow process is together for that. And then we'll also take a look at your 2024 goal setting and reverse engineering. All right. So looking at how much you actually want to make. But for me, the most important part is what impact you want to make and how you're going to actually be able to make that impact. So again, for me, filling the tax literacy gap one taxpayer at a time is most important. So I want to make sure that my podcast, the free podcast episodes and YouTube videos are something that's going to actually be effective and help people prevent tax issues, right? So that's an example for me. So like, what does my marketing strategy look like with that? You can use the call if you don't want to do the strategy for marketing and goal setting. You can use it for case support, which I have tax professionals do as well. Now, you can book this on the America's Favorite EA website. You do not have to go to the Bowens Tax Solutions site. Um, and within 24 hours, you do receive a summarized roadmap of our call. And that's just my notes. You don't receive them at the same time because I'm a physical note taker. So I'm writing out everything, right? So again, my main baby is the Tax Pros Representation Journey, which is the weekly private podcast, the unlimited chat support for cases and growth. So I have people that are in my DMs every day, but it's cool because that literally is what it's created for and what I'm there for. You can share notices that clients have received. If you have questions about the penalty abatement, you share that. Other people in the group also show interest about that or concern with not knowing how to do it right. That becomes a topic that I'm going to cover next, right? Because right now we have 14 podcast episodes, not quite as many articles, because like I said, I do owe them a few. However, there have been times when I've had to pivot because it is going to be based on what you all want to learn in the community. So, yes, we have, does your client qualify for an offer in compromise? We have, how do you get clients even if you don't have a big social media presence, right? So, those are the types of things that we're doing. But because it's the things that you all want to learn, I do have the implementation steps to actually make sure that you're staying on track and applying what you've learned so that you can actually accomplish the goal that you have set. And then we do have the community support for questions. So not only me, but you can talk with other people in the group as well, and the group accountability. So, uh-oh, I hit the wrong thing. I'm done. I'm going to bring that back up. If you are interested in the Tax Pro tax rep journey, this is what you are going to get if you sign up before Sunday. Have you ever been on social media? You don't know what to post? Well, in the Tax Pros Representation Journey, they get to test everything out. So, something that I've created that is going to be in ebook format. If you sign up for the Tax Pros Representation Journey before Sunday, you will get a free copy of an ebook that is going to give you 25 social media prompts that you can use for either your email marketing or your social media content marketing, introducing yourself as an enrolled agent, or if you're an aspiring enrolled agent. I even have some people right now that are using it as tax professionals to get more traction in, to make sure that they are building their email list with their e-magnet. So, or their lead magnet, not e-magnet. So that is one of the free things that you'll get. But in addition to that, if you sign up for the Tax Pros Representation Journey before Sunday, this is what I'm going to do. You can't use it until January, but if you sign up before Sunday, you will also get a free one-on-one roadmap call with me, which you just saw. I do typically charge $500 for that call. However, because I do have a certain amount of EAs, aspiring EAs, that I want to make sure that I'm actually helping before we reach the new year. That is something that I'm offering right now. So if you are interested in the Tax Pros Representation Journey, now, if you want to do the free call, that is cool. If the Tax Pros Representation Journey ends up being a good fit for you after that, that is cool. But if we go through that call and process, um, you know what? If we go through the call and process, I'll still give you the bonuses if you sign up before Sunday. Does anybody have any questions before I head off for the night? Cause y'all, I am tired. I appreciate you guys that have hung out with me tonight. Appreciate you sharing. Let me see. We got a few people left on Facebook, a few people left on YouTube. So I think I have 333. Let me check LinkedIn really quick just to make sure I don't have any comments. And I am so sorry, you guys. I don't know what LinkedIn's deal is. Well, all right. I know there's a lag, but I'm going to hop off. I'm going to love you guys and leave you. You all have an amazing Wednesday night, and I will talk with you later. Bye.